Hi, Joyce. Happy Sunday.
Hi, Anne. We haven't talked like this for a little while.
No, we haven't. I've
New
missed it.
Year. Happy New
Yeah,
Year.
yeah. Happy New Year. I wanted to ask you. I had an experience where I fell on Christmas and I it hurt, and then a week later I went to the chiropractor and he was adjusting me and he said, your posture's not good. And I said, I know that because I'm tall and my shoulders go forward, and it's always been like that. But it's been especially worse. And he showed me, he said, you want to have your sternum forward, your heart forward, so that you can be open. And I looked at him and I thought, well, I don't want that because um, number one, I'm cold. And number two, I'm still grieving my dad. And so I don't want my heart exposed. And so I left him, but I was thinking, like, but it doesn't feel that good, to be hunched over, like I'm not like a fetus. And so I did some Feldenkrais exercises, which helps open the body. And it was about working with the sternum. And Joyce, I opened up and I just started crying and crying and crying. And it felt like crying really hard. And it felt like such a relief. And I was curious what your take on is with posture and grief and being adopted, if anything.
I love your stories and your question that is so expansive. The mini answer for our 3 minute.
I know it's always big.
I know. I think this is a great thing to bring up because I
Mhm.
do think there's a lot of attention paid both in structural therapies like chiropractic, acupuncture, all kinds of things, as well as in therapeutic situations to help people to place themselves in their body and to figure out what parts of their body are holding certain things. The body keeps the score,
Mhm.
and that was a great title by
Mhm.
Bessel
Mhm.
van der Kolk, and it really is something that people forget about and for good reason and for sometimes for positive reason to be able to move on. Sometimes you have to place things somewhere and deal with them in another way. So I think posture is an interesting word and an interesting thing to think about because it can mean both your physical structure and stature and how you hold yourself, and it can also mean how you act, your posturing, your performing,
Mhm.
your showing people something about yourself. You're taking a stance, a stance. And
Mhm.
I think these are good things to stop and think about for adoptees and other people. There's a tendency for many of us to live in our heads.
Mhm.
There's a lot to make sense of. So there's a lot of work that has to go on. And there's a disconnection. Uh, and sometimes that's really good. I'm dealing with a physical problem right now. I'm about to have hip replacement.
Mhm.
And I was thinking the other day, I loved it when I never had to think about my body. It just got up, it ran, it walked, it did 9,000 things a day. It fell into bed and went to sleep. And,
Mhm.
I didn't have to think about that. I could think about everything else.
Mhm.
Having a sickness or having a situation or falling right after the holidays
Mhm.
gives you a chance to look at things a different way
Mhm.
and to place them other than in your head.
Mhm.
And I think, we're whole beings. And certainly our thoughts, our will, many of what people call the soul or whatever, isn't your body. But your body is, it's here for this life.
Mhm.
And if you don't pay attention to it and know what's going on, you're missing a piece of yourself.
Mhm.
So, for everyone, And you know, I say that because everyone always says everyone has these same things. But for adoptees, we're sort of set up in a different way, because of our initial loss and trauma and taking away everything and having to make it on our own. It's a wonder and a miracle that more adoptees aren't failure to thrive and don't just pass away early on, because we're fighters.
Mm-hmm.
And posture is a way of showing. I remember this was popular a few years ago. It was some self help video or something that would shoot across your Facebook or your Insta. And it was a woman who showed you that if you took this stance in front of the mirror before you were going for an interview, you would definitely get the job because you were empowering yourself through your posture. So,
I think that was Amy Cuddy from was it Amy Cuddy from Harvard?
it
She
might
did
have
the
been.
yeah, she did the TED talk on your posture.
Yes, 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 yes. Exactly, exactly.
Hmm.
But so I think posture is really interesting.
Hmm.
Um, and there's a lot of fake posturing that people do, faking it till they make it.
Hmm.
There's a lot of unawareness. What you said in your initial vignette was that you told that chiropractor that you understood, you weren't not thinking about your body, you were focusing on it in some ways. You knew that you didn't want to have your posture be open, that
Hmm.
it's, you know, it's true that when you're cold you hunch over more.
Hmm.
You seem to be protecting yourself from the cold. And when you're, you know, dealing with grief, and it takes a year or more to deal with even the initial grief, there's a way that you are protective.
Hmm.
And I think he did a great job of giving you, he didn't tell you what to do. He did, but he told you why that might be helpful. And you
Hmm.
went home and practiced it.
Hmm. Yeah, I needed someone to mirror to show me this is what you're doing, this is what you could be doing, and then my brain could do with it what it wanted.
Yeah. And now you can still go outside and hunch.
Yeah, I can still, but something clicked in my brain because now I'm realizing the hunching, which I've been doing almost all my life, you know, probably not as a small child, but I think the idea of protecting the heart for adoptees in particular makes a lot of sense. It's like my body is like baby me.
Yeah.
And so I have abandoned my body. Like I hunch around it to freeze around my heart, so it won't be grabbed. But also, I don't want to be in my body. I want to be up here. So what my body does is my body calcifies, right? It just gets it gets so it's protecting itself, but nobody wants to be dragging around an abandoned baby. My job is to take care of the baby. And so I have this new feeling about my heart that I want the baby to be open. I want the baby to have a good life and I want to take care of the baby. I think I have a feeling there can be terror for an adopted person to be responsible for their own body when it was relinquished at some point. Like the deal is the body was relinquished, so we're in cahoots with that. So to survive, we stay up here. But I have found it really transformational to walk around and just think, this is my body. Like I
Yeah.
have a body.
It's taking possession,
Yeah.
which is so important.
And there's one other part. I think I avoided this in the past because having a body in the past, if I realized it, meant I had more power. But my brain, in some ways, was still trying to please my adoptive parents or still playing out the role, the posture of an adopted person. So why would I want to be more present to posture? Do you know what I mean? So it was a way of not being here entirely. But now that my parents are gone, I can reinvent myself in some ways. I could have when they were here too. It's just this is how it is. And so now it's less scary
Yeah.
to drop the posturing and see what's underneath it.
Well, I like the way you wove that. You always do such a great job of putting things into words. The think about when you had your baby and how
Mm,
you held your baby and how you held your baby very closely if there was anything,
mm,
that was seemed like a danger or
mm,
that it would be upsetting. So there's a holding close and there's a hunching over in that holding close. That whole
mm,
position of holding a baby
mm,
is sort of this
mm.
position.
That's so beautiful. That's it, right? So it is a way, yeah, exactly. So it is a way of nurturing and caring.
And you have to get to a point in your life where you are the nurturer and carer of
Hmm.
yourself. You always sort of are because we start out that way. But
Hmm.
it's important to take it on and realize that and it goes in different ways for different people for so many, many, many reasons. But at some point, it's important to let the baby grow up, to
Hmm.
give the baby a chance to make
Hmm.
mistakes, to
Hmm.
fall and to rise and to, I mean, the thing that you do as a parent is you give, as BJ Lifton used to love to quote, roots and wings.
Hmm.
You give them, the difficulty for adoptees is the roots part got disturbed.
Hmm.
You can still get the roots that are remaining and you can always get the wings. And you
Hmm.
want to get to the place where you're giving yourself permission to
Hmm.
have that, to have that
Hmm.
posture. And it can be either. I mean, some people, I have scoliosis. I'm never going to stand up straight. My mother used to have me put books on my head and walk around. Didn't work.
Hmm.
It's posture is very important, but some people don't have great posture for good clinical and structural reasons.
Hmm.
They can still have posture.
Hmm.
They can still have, a sense of self, a sense of strength, a foundation that gives them the posture that they need. And I think it's hard to get there. It's all weaved together, woven together with identity.
Hmm.
Without identity, you can't have intimacy and you can't have your full self.
Hmm. Hmm.
So how to get there is,
Hmm.
the paths are many, but this is
Hmm.
this is a really good conversation because I think
Hmm.
it's fun to think of minute things like a word, like and
Hmm.
to then think about how that impacts the
Hmm.
entire situation of adoption.
Mm, I love that. What a great, let's close here. I think that's a great, that feels final. It gives people something to chew on. Okay, we're gonna go make another video.
Let's do another.
Okay, okay, I'm gonna stop this one and let's do another one. Okay, hold on. I have to remember how to stop it.